our ultimate 2025 Springbok team, every Sunday with André Pretorius.
Welcome to the ultimate Springbok 15 for 2022. This episode is going to be the Scrumhalves. And André let me know in a panic this morning, there are so many of them. Who should I look at and who should I ignore? And we decided on a couple of the top names there. So firstly, welcome back, André.
Thanks, MW. Great to be back and look forward to this one. It was a lot to get through, so many quality nines, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, we decided on a couple of names. We whittled down a few of the many options. No wonder Rassi picked 4 Scrumhalves for the World Cup because there were just so many of them. But before we get to the actual episode, remember to hit subscribe, become a subscriber. We're aiming to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of June. We're going to need your help for that. So if you do, thank you for that. And André, talking about subscribers, we've had some interesting comments again last week on the fly-half episode.
Always good to have a read there and engage with the subscribers and the people leaving comments. In particular, Mr. Michael Dutton, I think 9484. Great to see new subscribers or people that stumbled upon the podcast and watching the episode and obviously going on to watch the rest of the stuff. So, and he was quite impressed with the way that we're doing the team and the info that he's getting from it. So welcome, Mr. Dutton, and hopefully we keep you for a very long time.
It's a good point that you're making there. People who stumble upon this video, for example, must realize this is part of a playlist we're doing the entire team. I'm putting the link to the playlist in the bottom and at the description down below. Make sure you go watch all of them. We started at 15, worked through the wings, we worked through the centers. Last week we did the fly-halves. This week we're doing the scrum-halves. So make sure you don't miss any one of those episodes. Now, talking about fly-halves and scrum-halves, you're now a former Springbok fly-half yourself, a World Cup winner, 2007. And you described to us last week how important it is to have a good relationship with your centers. How good or how important is the relationship between a fly-half and a scrum-half in a particular game?
It's probably one of your most important relationships that you are building within a team. And the chemistry that they possess is so important in terms of the continuity that you want to create within your attack and your defense sometimes. But I think you get used to someone's voice, you get used to the way that a certain player manages certain situations. And when you get those range of games together, let's say within the box or within your franchise, it just, sometimes you're communicating without even talking. You know, there'll be a great carry and the 9 doesn't even need to look up to see that his 10 is going to play flat, or that he's going to be calling the ball behind the pod. The call will come anyway, but the 9 will set himself a lot earlier just because he's so used to that player making certain calls in certain positions. So the chemistry, the relationship of 9 and 10 is important for a team success.
Last week you called the 10s or the fly-halves the game drivers. Now, in the Springbok setup, isn't that a bit what the scrum-halves are as well? Who's the actual game driver in a Springbok setup?
I still think it's the 10 for the Springboks in a team with like France. I think the game driver has gone one channel in. They leave a lot of the decision making up to Dupont to drive where they want to play, how they want to play. Whereas with the Springboks, we're a very structured and tactical team, and that's got to come from the 10. And when we do get structured, the 9 needs to take control of his area, and within a certain area with kickoff 9, he'll take control of that. So they're more a tactician than a game driver for me in terms of how quickly we want to play, where we want to play, the direction we want to play, when we want to kick, how we want to kick. Those types of decisions is the decisions that the 9 need to make, and that falls under the tactics more than driving the game. So for me, it's a tactical intelligence, a master tactician of sorts.
Right. Tactical intelligence is the word that you're going to be using just now when you talk about criteria. What criteria did we use this week, and what weighting did you give to each of them?
The first one, as you said, is tactical intelligence, and it comes down to the management of your speed of play, the management of your direction of play, and then the management of your kicking game. Those, and we'll talk, there'll be a question about the rugby IQ, and all of these categories you'll need to have good rugby IQ to make good decisions. So it's embedded within these categories and kind of taken for granted again that your 9 has got that rugby IQ. On the attack, we're looking at firstly an individual run threat. Has he got the ability to break the line and, like on a clip we'll see later, like Grant Williams against England, to actually go and score and finish it. Now, not all 9s have got the top end speed that Williams does. That's why he sometimes doubles up as a wing for us and certain 7-1 bench situations. But, 9s need to be able to keep that core ruck defenders busy, which creates space for the runners in that midfield, which then in turn creates space for the runners on the outside. And if you're not going to be a threat in those areas, it means that the defense becomes easier. They don't have to look for anything there. They know it's just going to be run, catch, pass for the outside there. And your passing and distribution. Now, it's not purely just the type of pass, because all of the 9s wearing a Springbok jersey have got good passes. Some have got better passes, but it comes down to managing those rucks where you're getting a lot of ruck pressure. And you'll see a couple of clips as well where Grant Williams and Cobus Reinach managing ruck pressure, absorbing the ruck, kind of acting as a shield or a blocker, just so they absorb that initial hit, and then they continue to make the pass. So that's part of your pass and distribution. And then your support and running lines, where the good 9s in the world, they've got those shortcuts. They run inside balls. I think of Morne van der Berg from the Lions. He's superb with those inside lines. Guys like Blast from the Past, André Pretorius from the Cheetahs, Jano Vermaak from the Lions. They were experts at running those inside lines and kind of poaching tries, if you want to call it that, getting into positions and getting over the try line. So that's going to be important on the attack. And then lastly, on the defense, pure tackles, physicality within the tackles, because we also get our 9s in different positions in the line, and sometimes they need to be tackling big runners. And we're lucky where all of our 9s have got the ability to do that, some better than others. Positioning, where do you fill in? Do you stay on the blind? Do you stay behind the ruck? Do you check kick space, etc.? And then the last one is that decision. Do I shut on the outside? Do I fix a place where people or where a player has not put himself into, so I fill that space? So that decision making on defense is going to be important.
Okay, just mention the weights for each of these categories.
So for the tactical intelligence, it'll be 40, and for attack and defense, it'll be 30 each.
It's quite different to the other criteria so far. None of the other positions had the criteria weigh so heavily. Some of them were more criteria, but some of them less weighty. Why are these so important, so weighty, have such a large weighting?
I think it's the involvement, MW. It's that the 9s and the 10s are so involved with, well, the 9s more so than the 10s, because they're at the source of where everything starts. And within the defense, they're always part of the defense line. It's not like the 10 that goes and defends at the back. So he's not part of defense for long periods of time. So that's why I felt that the attack and defense is pretty much the same, because either side of the ball, your 9 is an important piece to that puzzle. And then that tactical intelligence, because that's how it's part of the way that they get this team going and kind of be the trigger for the attack and the defense.
All right. So what we've been doing lately is we pick the player who scored the highest when you rated them, and then we use that player as a gold standard, and we start with that, looking at his clips and everything else, so we can understand what the player in this specific position should be able to do. And so, who's the gold standard this week that we're going to be starting with?
I'm hoping this is going to provoke a lot of engagement and chats in the comments. But my rating for this week, I rated Grant Williams the highest. And a big reason for that is the fact that there's nothing that he really lacks. There's stuff that he can do better. Better decision making at certain times when he should maybe let the ball go and he isolates himself close to the ruck, and he gets lucky because the Springboks work hard and they get off the ground and they win the ball back. But he's an out and out attacking threat. He's got that double up ability of playing wing if we go 7-1. His passing is really good. He absorbs pressure with ruck pressure really well. He's got an effective leg chop tackle, and I think if he's going to get the opportunity to play a lot of tests, I think he might be one of the greats one day.
Let's have a look at the clips.
Right, MB, in this first one, playing off a line out, good go forward ball. Now there you can see that the ball's available. Now the reason I'm showing this is because what you want your 9 to do is you want him to get there and play the ball immediately. And within this, now it's not a great first clip for Grant being the gold standard, but it's a mistake that a lot of 9s can make, especially in this area of the field. So ball's available. You'll see Pieter-Steph is ready for the run. They've got a defender outside the line. If he plays that ball, Pieter-Steph runs into a bit more space. And you'll see Pieter-Steph actually going sideways because Grant is stopping that ball. I'll play this in real time and you'll see it a lot better. Now, what happens now is England dominate that contact. And if I just take it back, have a look at the setting when Grant gets to the ball and then stops on that. There, doesn't pass it and then stops on it. And like I said, then England gets into a very dominant position. Now you'll see there's a lot of ruck pressure here. Now the problem with that is that the ball's not available quickly. And if the 9 doesn't manage this ruck pressure, you're going to have a problem in terms of you might lose that ball. But what Grant does really well is have a look at how he braces and then he plays the ball. And that ensures that we get the ball out of there. And that's a great skill for a 9 to have. On the next one, you'll see Colby going up. We win that ball. And again, get into a bad position. Weak ruck for us. England dominating. And you'll see Grant managing that ruck pressure and ensuring that we get the ball back. Get the ball back safely. And that's part of the pass and distribution where for us to keep the ball, he needs to be either playing quickly or ensure that we get the ball back. Now, what I like about Grant as well is he gets a late call to go to the blind and he improvises, turning his body the wrong way, and he gets the ball into space. Fassi gets caught here, but if you have a look at his body movement here, he's coming to this side. There's a late call from that side, improvises, and he puts the ball into space there. So the way he adapts to calls and the improvisation is also a good skill that Grant possesses. Now we know the Springboks like to change it up a bit, and Grant is not scared to kick attacking kicks from within the rucks, especially when the call is coming from the outside. This one may be just a tad hard, but the fact that he kicked it and he's got the confidence just shows you where he's at within the Springbok jersey. Again, this was a call from Colby, kicked the ball over the top, not afraid to go there, and we actually get this ball back. And if you've got a 9 that can do that, it just gives you that extra bit of versatility within your attack, and it makes you so unpredictable. Now, this is the clip that I couldn't wait to show you. That break against England, and he's a true run threat. It's not just the line break, it's the ability to finish that line break. And MB, what's impressive here is the fact that he has to take a double step here, inside, outside, and yet he doesn't lose his speed. It just shows you what type of speed you're dealing with when it comes to Grant Williams. He has also got the ability to get out of trouble with his speed. Now, I think in this instance, I'd prefer that he makes the pass, but that's going to be difficult with defenders in between. So, more experience, you want to see him put that ball in behind, put it on the toe, get them under pressure at the back, and ensure that we either get the turnover, or with the speed that we've got in Colby and Arendse, you're going to win that foot race and you'll score. So there's something I think he can look at. And then within this, he gets tackled, and that ground skill needs to be better. You'll see he doesn't work hard enough on the ground. He just wants to kind of press it through his legs, and we actually lose that ball. Nice little play here with Grant and Kwagga. Now, Grant knows exactly what he needs to do here. He just needs to commit this defender and open up that space. Murat will be running onto Lolesio, and that space will open up. But Grant has got to do his job first. So he takes a step, moves inside, gets the defender's attention, and Kwagga gets to run into that. And that's such subtle skill, especially in this area of the field. Just moving on to that inside shoulder, making the defender just hesitate that little bit, opening that space for Kwagga.
Harry's friend, Harry Wilson, there with the red cap.
Right, now, like I said, your decision-making and your IQ is both sides of the ball. His positioning is perfect in this defensive set. Gets himself on the outside, pushes up, gets into the eye line of the ball player, gets him to go inside, but he doesn't stop there. Goes again, forces the bridge ball. Ball in the air is not a threat, so Mapimpi gets to go across, pushes them inside, and then Williams has got a really effective leg chop, big player up, and he's back in the defense line. Now, this is the part where I think he needs to be careful. Nobody's around him. There's no real space over here, but I think you'll get to certain situations and thinks he can run himself out of trouble if he does get into trouble. And that's exactly what happens here. Space closes down, and now he's isolated. So I think that decision-making part of his game still needs a bit of sharpening to ensure that he doesn't try and force these types of issues, especially in games where some nines tend to do this when they haven't had a break in the game, or they've maybe made a couple of mistakes and they want to force it. And then just the last one, pretty similar. He breaks on the inside, and there he gets isolated. But Colby's got great technique on this one. Again, there's space and numbers, good runners on the outside. He decides to go on the inside. And I think a better jackler gets onto that ball a lot quicker, and we lose that ball.
Quite an eye-opening set of events there, set of skills that you require. So what did we rate him at?
Well, on the tactical intelligence category, I rated him 35 out of 40. And, you'll get more perspective as we go along. But I think the one thing that I showed last with the fact, with regards to his decision making in certain situations, that needs to be a bit sharper. It could cost us an opportunity on the outside, or with a mismatch when he's running into walls close to the ruck, and better ruckers and better jacklers is going to turn the ball over on him. So that's the reason for the 35 out of 40. On attack, he's an absolute attacking threat. He's exciting to watch, and he can make something out of nothing. I mean, it's a 9 that can play wing and be a very fast wing. So he's 29 out of 30. And on the defense, he's at 28 out of 30.
So that's 92. We talked about 91 being sort of looks like a benchmark. So 92 is right there or thereabouts now. It's always around the early 90s that these top players score. So towards the latter part of last season, it was between either Faf or Jaden Hendrikse. Your thoughts on his game in general?
Great 9. I think he's a fantastic 9. I think he's a 9 that can create opportunities on attack. His defense, I think, needs a little bit of work. I think he focuses more on attack than he does defense. He's not a bad defender at all. He's a big player, and it's more about the positioning than the tackles. He can jackal, he can make his tackles, but I think he's more of an attacking, tactical type 9. Defense is an afterthought, but when he does get into the contact situation, he doesn't shy away. So I think the URC has not seen the best of Jaden, And hopefully he's keeping that for the Springbok jersey then. But definitely a player that'll be part of the Springbok squad going forward in the future.
This is an important point. I was about to say, people are going to say, oh, but he's had a terrible URC season. And I want to say something that you said to me before. Form is temporary, but loss is permanent. And you have to keep that in mind, don't you?
Exactly. You know, if one game can make you a bad player, then one game can make you a good player. And it doesn't work like that. These players have shown time and time again that they can rise to the occasion and show what they're made of, perform on the biggest stage. So, you know, you have to acknowledge the fact that they all have weaknesses, but the strengths and what they're good at is a lot more than that.
All right, let's have a look at his clips.
Okay, MW, again, not a great start. Jaden looking to play off a maul and then knocks it on there. Just the awareness and doing your first job first is so important for a 9. So he knows what's going to come next, but ensure that you get that ball safely and securely, and then you make your pass, and then he drops it on that one. And that's just a lack of focus and concentration in that situation, which is critical for a 9. You need to get the ball out first before you pass. It sounds simple, it sounds obvious, but if you're focusing on too many things on the outside, you do get it wrong on the inside.
André, just rewind a bit there. Something that caught my eye there. The ref has actually got both his hands on Jaden's back there. Wasn't that a bit unsettling maybe? It's just interesting.
It could be. I think that's a good spot, MW. I think what the ref's doing is he's just, hopefully he's not pushing Jaden into the maul, but I think he's just ensuring that he's getting the use it call. And he might have given the call a couple of times, Jaden not acknowledging it, and then, you know, he doesn't want to give an unnecessary scrum there. But again, I don't think that's the reason Jaden gets this wrong. That transfer into Jaden's hands there, he doesn't have the ball yet, and then he drops the ball. I think he'll be very disappointed, and he was very disappointed with that, obviously.
Yeah, basic thing.
The next one as well, you'll see in the first ruck, he loses sight of it. Ball goes in between. And this is what I'm talking about, absorbing that ruck pressure, having the awareness of where the ball is. Now that guy's illegal. He should be penalized. But still, the awareness of where the ball is, where the threat is, and you absolutely don't want to see that, because then that happens and now you're under pressure. And it kind of filters up into the next ruck as well, MW. And this one, you'll see on the slow-mo better, but that ruck pressure there from Skuman, and Jaden should be trying to get that ball away from the threat and then passing it. He got caught. Skuman very sly, actually very clever, the way that he got Jaden to knock that ball. You'll see it better on the slow-mo. He takes the leg, pushes it into Jaden, and that's where he misses it.
Yeah, clever.
And that's why it's so important for the 9 to absorb and manage that ruck pressure.
I remember this game. Harry called this game, Scotland was, it was like Jaden sticking his hands in the wood chipper, because specifically what Scotland was doing there, they were quite clever about playing the 9 without playing the 9, or making it as uncomfortable as possible for him to get the ball out. You remember that?
Yes, and the awareness again, get the ball away from the threat and then you pass it. George Grugan used to be a master at that, just getting it away from that threat and then passing. The next couple of clips we look at is just Jaden's kicking game. He kicks the ball a really long way from the base of the scrum inside the 22, and he gets a line out very close to the 50, and that's on the right-hand side of the field. But even on the left-hand side, MW, where he needs to kick it over his shoulder, he's very effective in taking that kick and getting ample yards on it and taking the pressure off the 10 on that side as well. Now, I told you about his attacking ability, and yeah, he takes good control of this situation where it's a slow ball. You're looking for shape over speed now. You want to ensure that you're playing to the right side. You don't want to put unnecessary pressure on anybody in a certain position. So he scans to the left, sees he's got 2 players, probably not the best option, 3 defenders waiting, and then scans it to the right and makes his pass to that side, which was the right option. but you're not going to get that if you're not going to look.
Explain that shape over speed and what? Speed over shape. What is that again?
In the game, you are going to find yourself in positions where you've got lightning quick ball, and where certain teams get it wrong is they wait for their shape to set before they pass the ball out, which just gives the defense enough time to reset, get into position, and they can defend that phase. Whereas you want to actually forget about your shape in that instance. You want speed, you want them chasing, you want to catch them offside, you want to catch them in difficult positions, not set, and make them chase the rucks. That's where your offload lies. And when you get the offload, you prevent another ruck. Then they're not set again. So it just snowballs. And on the flip side of that coin, the defense wants to get a ruck. They want to put ruck pressure so that it can set their defense. So you can see why it's important for attack to have the balance, right? And the way they play that is so important. Quick ball, you want that speed over shape. You want to prevent rucks. You want to get the offloads going. But then once it gets to slow ball, there's no use in just running into walls then. Then you're going to need your shape to secure your ball. So you set your shape, you ensure that you've got the right people in the right place, and then you start generating momentum again, looking for that speed, that lightning quick ball where you can then go speed over shape again.
Yeah, and I remember you said now just slow ball. It could make sense to me now.
Okay, and like I said, Jaden, not afraid to defend. We lose the ball in this contact situation. Tackle's been made, and he gets into that jackal position very quickly. Now, he likes to do this, and he gets a couple of turnovers in that way as well. And it's a great bonus if your 9 is a good jackler, because when you get line breaks against you, the next guy tackling is probably going to be the 9. And if he's got the ability to get jackal turnovers, your line breaks against you sometimes becomes an opportunity for you to get turnovers. Croppy's breaking blindside. Jaden making that tackle. Look how quickly he's up. And obviously he's away from the ball, but he's into that jackal position. The ground skill is just of such a nature that he doesn't get his hands on the ball. So he's not afraid to defend. I just think it's a case of his positioning can be better in certain situations.
Right. So what were the ratings like?
On the tactical intelligence category, I've got him at 36 out of 40. He's got I think his kicking game is a bit better than Grant Williams. On the attack, he's 26 out of 30, where Grant is a much more of an attacking threat than I think Jaden is. Where Jaden is more of an assist, an attacking assister, where Grant will be able to take the hole or the gaps like you saw. And then on the defense, 27 out of 30, he's very physical. I just think that positioning needs a bit of work.
Well, that gives us 89, just under the 90, compared to 92 for Grant. So Grant clearly the number 1 in the pecking order at the moment. And I would like to see how Jaden shapes up towards the end of the season at the URC if the form comes back a bit. Because like we said, they didn't have the greatest game, but yeah, we'll have a look at that. Right, who's next up?
We've got Cobus Reinach.
Yeah, who's going to be moving back to the Stormers. Interesting thing. Also, Yankees, of course, leaving to go to France. So we're not talking about those Yankees while we're at it. Yankees, I don't think, is in the running anymore.
Maybe Cobus is a bit of a different 9 to Grant and Jaden. He's a physical 9. He runs great support lines, and I think if you had to look at Grant and Jaden, he's probably the hybrid between them. You know, he can attack, but he can also be tactically good. He's got a very underrated box kick, and he's an absolute workhorse. You'll see in one of the clips the support lines that he runs and gets to Orense and saves us that ball when the ball gets flown out of the ruck.
But what's important here is you mentioned to me that we didn't realize how old he is already, and we're looking at a 2025 team here. He might not necessarily be in the running for 2027 anymore. That's quite important.
Jeez, but he's got the recipe. For a 35-year-old to be playing the way he does, he looks after his body very, very well.
Yeah, and I saw Dion Fourie just signed for another year. He's going to be close to 40. So yeah, 35 should be is the spring chicken yet, man.
Yeah. It's not that like the game's not getting any more physical and not tough, not more tough. It's a tough game, and those channels they're defending gets harder and harder each year with the power and the type of players that starts to be or produced in these positions. Okay, we're back into a wide ruck. Now, like we spoke earlier, it's very important for the 9 to have awareness on what's happening at the ruck and the type of pressure he's going to have to deal with. And Cobus does a great job here. He's trying to get the ball out. He can feel that ruck pressure, and yet he manages it really well, and he ensures that he gets the ball out, and he doesn't just leave it there for them to take it. But after that, he also gets rid of it, and he releases that pressure. So critical skill that I think is very underrated within the Nine's capabilities is how they manage these types of situations for us to keep the ball in, especially this area of the field. We're going to have a look at about some support lines, and Cobus is a good exponent of this. Nice little bridge ball there to Kirtley. And you'll see where the 9's running. So he's anticipating the next ruck. This is what you call that little shortcut the 9's take. And with that, he gets himself into a great support position. You'll see him at the bottom. You'll just see the top of his head there, supporting Kirtley. And, he just gets taken down there. But I wonder if he passes that ball to Reinach on the inside. I think that's Casey Jones. He scores that. He gets there second. Ben Jason Dixon, great clean, picks the ball up under huge pressure, but still we still keep that ball. And it's due to the fact that Reinach ran a great support line, and he got there before the rest of them and secured that ball.
Just on that they're carrying him around like that, like a sack of potatoes. Is that legal?
Well, that's past the horizontal.
Mm.
And he was trying desperately to milk it. He was lifting his legs up.
Mm.
And I can't remember if they made something of this, but still, I don't think that there should be legal in any case. And then on the last one, it's also a support clip. Good decision, makes the pass early, but then he stays on that inside, ensures that there's a support line for Arendse. Gets taken, still gets rid of the ball. Now, this is an opportunity for us to look at what we spoke about earlier about the other side of that shape over speed, which obviously is speed over shape. They've got the Aussies on the ropes on this side. Now, instead of getting into pods, letting the 10 set, Sasha actually runs in and he goes and plays 9. And what's great about this is the fact that Reinach's right up there, but he's not playing 9. He's like a loose forward. He's securing the ball. And because of that, we make good yards on the edge. And the phase after this one, we actually get a line break, which we showed last week, where Jesse shows some good hands on the edge there. Now, that's the thing with Reinach. Absolute workhorse. He can get physical when he needs to. He can speed it up when he needs to. He's got good awareness of what's happening around the rucks. And that's why I said he's a bit of a hybrid between Jaden and Grant.
All right, let's see if his marks are a hybrid between Jaden and Grant. What did you rate him at?
Tactically, he's a 34 out of 40. And I think it's that decision making that's probably costing him a couple of marks there. I think the awareness of what's going on around the ruck there. Jaden is very good at it. Grant's very good at it. I think Cobus is someone that's listening to the 10 a lot. He's just playing what is being fed to him. Where I think the other two are a bit more instinctive, in terms of their attack and the way they go about approaching that situation. And also, I'd like to see more versatility in terms of a little through chip kick, and he's got it. He has done it before, but his primary thing is he wants to get the ball out, which does speed up the game, which is good. On the attack, it's 27 out of 30. He is an attacking threat, and also a player that Rassie has played on wing before with a lot of confidence. He runs great support lines. He's a workhorse within the structure and the system, like you saw on that one clip where he supported Orense and Ben Jason Dixon on the edge there. So 27 out of 30, and on the defense also 27 out of 30. Decision making, does he shut, does he fix, does he fill? I think that's going to be, or that's one of the places where he can improve.
So that gives us 88, slightly less than the 89 that Jaden had and 92 that Grant had. So right up there, maybe not the best at the moment, best of all of them, but still up there. And I'm actually excited to see what he's going to be able to do once he's back in the Stormers. It's a good buy there.
And especially the way they want to play. I think, and part of that tactical intelligence part for him is where I think he's got more of an attacking mindset than he does a tactical mindset. He'd rather have a go. And I think the Stormers type of play, the way of play is going to suit him to a T.
Yeah, and he's going to play with Sasha, but he's probably going to be playing with in the Springbok side as well. Interesting.
Maybe Rassie had something to do with that.
Yeah, you never know. I wouldn't be surprised, actually. You're right. All right, so next up is Faf de Klerk. We didn't do any clips of him. We just rated him. So he is a double World Cup winner, but he sort of seemed to fall out of favor a little bit last year. Grant and Jaden taking precedence there. We talked about it earlier. What did you rate Faf at?
Again, Faf has shown time and again that he is quality. So on the tactical intelligence, he's a 36 out of 40, and a special mention of his speed of play. He'll get to a ruck, he'll be off balance, and he'll still get the ball out to keep that continuity and to keep the speed on the ball. On the attack, at 25 out of 40, and on the defense at 28 out of 30. He's a integral part of the defense. He makes good reads, he puts himself into good positions, and he's quite physical as well.
That's 89. That's on a par with Jaden. It's above Cobus. That seems to me to tell me that he's right up there in the running. And I was wondering what's the story with Faf, because like I said, he fell out of favor a bit. What's his form? What was his form like in Japan? Is he coming back? Is he looking better? Or are you basing this on historical numbers? And what's his current form look like? I know we said form is temporary, class permanent. I mean, that's nowhere more apt than it is with Faf. I mean, that guy's won 2 World Cups, like I've said now. How's his season looking in Japan?
It was going well when he came back from injury. And I think could be a good or a bad thing, but their forwards get dominated in some games. So he's not playing behind a pack that's going forward and building momentum and giving good ball consistently. So he's at his, call it his age, which is not that old, but where he is in his career, he's now having to find new ways to speed up the ball, to secure the ball, to get quality ball to his 10. And I think that could be a good thing going into the next part of his career, because I think he was so used to playing behind forwards and with the box going forward that it could be a great skill to use, when things do get tough. If you're going into games where your forwards are gonna have to work hard, the ball might not be as clean. Faf might be the man because he's been working on that in Japan.
All right, so next up is our usual dark horse that we talk about. This one is not that much of a dark horse. He's been in Springbok before, but a bit out of favor. Seems to be maybe having a chance, having a good season as well. What are we talking about here?
Mr. Embros Papier, with the Bulls having a great season, and he seems to be consistent in their good and bad games. He'll take quick taps and run it in and score the tries. He's keeping the ball quick when it needs to be quick. His kicking was a bit inconsistent in certain games, just putting it that a couple of meters too far. not making it a 50-50 or contestable. And one thing I will mention is I think he's within his defense, he's not a natural chop tackler. Against Glasgow, a couple of the tackles, he was trying to soak the tackle, pulling the player down, where I think if you look at Faf, Grant, Jaden, Cobus, even Morne van der Berg, they're natural chop tacklers. They cut legs, they get the guy on the ground as quick as possible, and some of them jump up and make the jackal as well. So that's something that he's going to have to look at.
All right. Did you rate him?
I rated him. So on the tactical intelligence, and this is, playing with the Bulls at the moment, there is forward dominance, but he's done pretty well there. 35 out of 40. He's an attacking threat. He keeps the ruck defense busy. He makes good decisions. He picks good runners. 27 out of 30. And then on the defense, it's a 25 out of 30 for me.
All right. So that gives us 87. Also, once again, right up there, but a bit of a dark horse. Like you said, he's a very, very good scrum half, but there are some exceptional scrum halves ahead of him in the line. So if he gets a chance, you'll be surprised. Last time he played for the Springboks was 2018, but he wouldn't, disappoint in his Springbok jersey, would he?
Not at all. And I think just for the, a bit of perspective, 1 point ahead or 1 point behind might look like just 1 point, but in this context, the quality is of such a sort that 1 point is actually quite big.
Yeah, true. All right. Right. Special mentions this week?
I think it has to be Krappies. Morne van der Berg with the Lions. Tough season for the franchise as a whole. Some great games. Also, he seems to be consistent. He does make mistakes, which he will because of the way he plays. He's got a similar work on as Grant Williams, whereas he tends to force the issues sometimes, especially when he's made a couple of mistakes, trying to force runs, whereas it feels like if he does his basics really well, the Lions play well, and his opportunity will come. He kicks well off both feet. He's an attacking threat. Support lines. He reminds me of Jano Vermaak, the way he runs those inside lines, and then he'll make the pass. He doesn't force the play and try and score the try. He'll make the pass if needed, but I think he's that decision making on when to take the snipe and when to let the ball go sometimes lets him down.
Right, just in summary, like we do every week, let's just look at the scores again. First up is Grant Williams with 92, then Jaden Hendrikse with 89, Cobus Reinach with 88, Faf de Klerk with 89, and then our dark horse for this week, Embrose Papier, with 87, and then of course, like you just mentioned, the special mention for Krappies van der Berg. And we know there are more Scrumhalf people, but we only have so much time to make this video in. So if we didn't mention your player, give us a shout out in the comments below. Let us know that we don't know what we're talking about, that we can't be relied upon. What did that one commenter say? That we don't know what we're talking about. So let us know how bad we actually are. Thanks for that. Okay, André, thanks, man. That was an interesting one. I appreciate it.
Thanks, MW. Look forward to next week.
Now, next week, we're going to be starting with the number 8, the loose forwards. And for the loose forward trio, our good friend Harry Jones is going to be involved. He's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. He's keeping me and André awake at night with everything that we have to help him with or look at, and he's analyze his thought processes. That's going to be an interesting one. So look out for next week. It's going to be a special episode with Harry Jones involved as well.